Françoise Lamotte in Switzerland.
And I'm Dominik Mugli in the San Francisco Bay Area. Our podcast, The Digital Edge, brings our perspectives on the digital revolution with a cutting-edge angle. Our topic for today is Agile, a fad. Françoise, what do you think about Agile, and is it a fad?
I mean, that's an excellent question. And actually, it's a question that one participant of my class on digital transformation asked me last year, because I was talking about Agile and how great it is. And then he asked, is this something that is here to last, or is it something just we are doing now and there will be something else?
Yeah.
So actually, I'm thinking yes and no. Yes, in a sense, because today it's still an aspiration for many organizations. It seems like everybody wants to be agile, but in reality, it's still hard, and many organizations are not actually working with agile approach. I was reading an article that is a bit old, so maybe 5 years ago, I think from McKinsey, saying that 90% of CEOs want to work according to Agile, but only 10% are doing it. So in that sense, yes, I think it's still a very hot topic where it's an aspiration that still many organizations have, but not yet really implemented. On the second aspect, which is, is it here to last? Yes, I believe that it's not a fad, and I would think that the approach has many benefits. So I would project that probably in 5 or 10 years we would still be using Agile. What do you think, Dominik?
Yeah, I would agree with you on the perspective of it's going to stick around for a while, and I think it's still in evolution. Agile is really a fascinating topic for me because when I was in undergrad computer science, I was focused a lot on software engineering, and that was already a topic for me at the time, right? How can you get technology into people's hands better? Because I was aware of the stats of that being a big struggle, right? And I had, in my early career, I had opportunities to work in an environment like that, where we had adopted Agile principles rather well. But now during this time, right, during these 20 years of career so far, I've seen many instances where Agile was, the right term for it would be misunderstood, right? Where you have a lot of people that were trained in traditional project methodologies, right? Call it waterfall, sequential activities, and the yearning for control and predictability and execution is so great that Agile as a concept, with the iterative execution, the autonomous collaboration, flexibility, and constant customer feedback, has really turned into a very structured methodology, right? Where basically a project is broken down into small portions and executed sequentially still.
Yeah, I think that's a very pertinent point of view. I remember, I can compare two experiences. One was in an insurance company where I was working, and I realized that, yes, Agile was effectively used, but in a very, I think, structured and very controlled
like in a rigid way,
yes.
almost.
Yes, and still, with expectations of certainty and delivery and a lot of things under control. And my other experience was when I worked with BlaBlaCar, a startup that was growing really fast. And I think that's the environment where I really experienced true agile methodology. And I think, a lot of very young environment, very high pace, very high growth. Everything was very fast paced, and the company was really inventing something new. So I think it was born with a high degree of uncertainty, and I think that was a really good environment to experience agile in its real sense. What about
Yeah.
you? I mean, in terms of the organization where you worked, did you have different experiences?
Yeah, I worked in mostly larger organizations, right? And it really varied. Where I saw it being successful was really in smaller environments, which were not constrained by the larger structure of an organization. And there was actually a very very small project that I was responsible for. It was a business process improvement, and I didn't really have any direct control over the project. I was acting more as a coach for the project team. There was a technologist, and there were two people or three people from the business process, including one of them managing the project. And what I was able to do at that time was, inexperienced with technology projects. The team was then able to start working in an iterative fashion because they didn't have the experience of planning everything out from start to finish, and they by necessity followed then, and almost by accident, like smaller steps towards building the finished product with a process improvement, because again they didn't know what was coming in each step after each step with the equipment integration and the software development and the testing and so forth. And so that was a really interesting small narrow scope for developing a project, because they, again, they did the best that they could in a somewhat of an iterative fashion. And every time they delivered something, they reviewed, they checked in with me. I was able to give feedback also in the execution, and they were able to take the next step. So it
Mhm.
was more of an iterative process in terms of stepping over the same deliverables multiple times rather than executing sequentially, even though it was a very small project and only lasted for, like maybe 2 or 3 months.
Mhm. And I was thinking whether agile will remain within the IT project space, or
Hmm.
if it can really expand throughout the whole organization. I'm thinking of one of my last experience with an organization where, I mean, there was a big project that was failing, or more or less had been failing for 4 years. So
Hmm.
at some point, there was a case saying, okay, we can't work like this anymore. We cannot wait for the entire software application to be delivered. We need to work more in a modular way and deliver pieces and features
Yeah.
in a more ongoing basis. And that's where it started. That project triggered, the first iteration for using Agile. And progressively, the entire IT and business solution team started working in Agile. So it spread.
Hmm.
And, more and more, this became a pervasive way into the organization. But small medium size enterprise. But I wonder if, in large corporation, everything can be run in agile, or it will remain in the scope of digital and IT projects. What is your view on that?
Uh, I think it really has to, blend together, right? I mean, the longer I'm working in the space of digital transformation and delivering solutions, the more I believe that business and technology functions need to be extremely closely woven together, right? And if you look at the Agile Manifesto, for example, how that came about was really this close connection with the user, right? That customer feedback and having that built in. Whereas in the traditional way, we had like, oh, let's go build something for 3 months and or 6 months or years even, right? And
Yeah.
then surprise the customer with the end product, and they're confused why it's not what they're expecting it to be. And I think this is really one of the core tenets of Agile, right? That you have the business function right in the middle of execution. They don't need to go develop software, configure things, or do technical work, but reviewing and giving feedback and understanding what is being delivered, right? That's such a huge aspect of getting Agile working. And I think it's so important that we continue to blend this technology function with the business function to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think that's a point to reinforce the fact that Agile is here to stay. The fact that you have this constant interaction with users and consumers, I think it's really a warranty of success and quality. And I think in that sense, it's much superior to any other method. That's why I'm a strong believer that it's not a fad, and probably we maybe there will be adjustments, but I think this is the right direction in terms of project management. Any
I
word of conclusion from your side, Dominik?
I agree with your assessment. It's definitely going to stay around. I think there's more work to be done in appreciating the nature of Agile, right? I think organizations need to spend a little bit more time and energy, especially at the leadership level, to understand what this really means, right? You can't just send your team to a 3-day workshop and then expect them to be able to function in an Agile way, right? This is something that has to be grown and practiced and supported for a longer period of time, and that support is really, really important before it then reverts back to the traditional ways, because we yearn for control and predictability for months and months ahead. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. I think for anyone who wants to start working in Agile way, my recommendation would be start small, prove it before you try to spread it across the entire organization.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dominik. Next time we will discuss about digital transformation and whether it can be outsourced. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Françoise. Thanks, everybody, for
Bye-bye.
watching. See you next time.